Good morning. Today I'm very happy to welcome Mrs. Samantha Bessudo Drucker. She's an actress and host and author of several books and columns. Good morning, Samantha. How are you?
Good morning, Sherry. Thank you so much for having me on your splendid program.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is mine. First, I want to ask you about when did you get interested into becoming an actress, an entertainer, and an author? When did it start in your childhood or teenage years?
It started as a child. I started out as a child. It was maybe I was as young as 5 years old. So when my cousins and I would get together, I was the one who was saying, "Okay, let's put on a show." And all my cousins were a little bit older than me, but I was the one who was directing the choreography, using our aunts Parios as costumes to wrap around everybody as costume. I was directing, selecting the songs that we would sing. So I think that my passion for show business started very, very early. But I was a theater trained actor. I went to NYU for theater and speech communications. And then I started hosting and became a journalist. And then recently, maybe a few years ago, a couple years ago, I decided to go back to school for film and television acting, which is very different than the television hosting that I've been doing for many, many years now.
Yes, I've seen you did a lot of programs and red carpet interviews. Usually, for which network you used to work as well as a host?
I'm still a correspondent for divagalsdaily.com
Hmm.
and a correspondent for um, the Times Square Chronicles.
Yes.
But as a lifestyle expert and lifestyle host, different networks would invite me on their programs uh, as a
Yes.
as a talking head, to give my
Yes.
opinions on certain kinds of subject
Yes.
matter.
Great. And I want to ask you, I've seen you did a lot of lifestyle and image consulting. So tell me about these two types of practice you've been doing as well.
Sure. And that,
Uh,
it actually led to my hosting.
yes.
Um, so I decided that I was absolutely fed up seeing the world fall apart because of people's bad manners.
Really? Hmm.
Yes. And I
Hmm.
would walk down the street and listen to people talk and see how they would put themselves together, publicly. And I thought, oh my God, this is horrible. This is a global pandemic. So I
Hmm.
thought, um, I would start a little company that would help people put their best self forward and
Great.
uh, presentation skills, etiquette training, speech, diction, posture, body language, uh, their wardrobe selection, things like this.
Hmm.
And um, and it just was an idea. It started out as just an idea because I saw a need. And then I wrote a simple press release. This was back, when internet was kind of a new thing, and
Yeah.
not even everybody had a website yet. So I
Yes.
just hand wrote a letter, printed out some business cards and a brochure, and sent it, opened up the phone book and licked some stamps and sent things by mail to all the local press outlets. I was in Boston at the time,
Yes.
and it worked. And
Hmm.
it it worked better than I ever dreamed that it would. And
Hmm.
that led me to lifestyle hosting because then programs started interviewing me and magazines started interviewing me, and things just grew from there.
Yes. So basically, this was like maybe 30 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
started,
Yes.
yeah, almost 30 years ago, like maybe
Yes.
25 years ago.
Yes, yes, because I remember when the internet started and it was very slow and everything.
Yeah.
Yes, before the social media as well. Yes, but I want to ask you right now regarding lifestyle. What do you think right now of the recent trends that we see all around the social media and the American programs?
So in social media, I think that we're starting to see the end of a trend. So
Yes,
I would say, last year might have been the pinnacle of it, that, you go on Instagram and what you see is not necessarily people's everyday real life. Would see a lot of people wearing, wonderful evening gowns and drinking champagne and on private jets. And, the glamorous life was really a big, big trend on Instagram. But I think that in this post pandemic world, and so much of the world is in crisis right now. You can't really be posting yourself living the high life, living the champagne lifestyle when so much of the world is suffering. So I feel like we're going to move out, we're segueing out of the dream, the dream life that is not, most people's reality. And we're seeing more real posts. So now people are like, how to grow a vegetable garden, how do you grow plants and food in your apartment, how do you make things, um, how do you do things with your hands, how do you bake a cake, how do you make a juice, lots of how to is, I think, becoming increasingly popular, more than people showing off their couture. Although guilty as charged, I like to dress up, but I like to go out, but I feel like that is a trend that we are going to see become smaller, and the more how-to videos are starting to be bigger, I feel.
yes, I see. If we can criticize social media for many negative things, I see that what they call do-it-yourself video,
Yes,
the
yes.
DIY
Mhm.
and tutorials. Myself, I learned a lot of things, and my wife as well. I like to see a lot of things about cooking, gardening as well, and also recycling. I see that these new tools. If you make use of positively of any tool you have, you will achieve positive things. I imagine.
Yes. The
Hmm.
one of the kinds of videos that I really like to watch. I mean, of course, I like to watch the animals. I love, really like watching interspecies relationships amongst animals, like a monkey with a cat with a dog, a cat with a bird, a dog with a giraffe, whatever. Interspecies friendships amongst animals fascinates me, and I think, why can't humans be more like that? And I'm fascinated by the how to grow vegetables at home videos. I find that absolutely fascinating, and I started growing some of my own vegetables at home. Um, and I also like the how to wrap a scarf videos. I see all these videos of women wrapping scarves a million different ways, and I've taught seminars on how to wrap a scarf, but I really like these kind of quick DIY uh, simple fixes, even like the juice recipes. I'm all about the juice recipes. I really am into healthy living. And of course, the exercise videos and the dance moves. I mean, that's hard to resist.
Yes. I see you have wrote a book. I think it was based on your own experience, 90 Days to Husband number two.
Yes, guilty
This is
as
correct?
charged. Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Tell me, how did you conceive this book? Tell me the whole story.
Okay. So here's my book, 90 Days to Husband Number Two, 10 Rules to Find Him. And it started because divagalsdaily.com called me just before Fashion Week and said, "Hey, Samantha, you are our only writer on staff that covers um, lifestyle, that covers relationships." And Joseph Shapira, who's the godfather of all internet dating, was coming out with a new app for millennials. And she wanted me to interview him. And so I did. He was launching his app during Fashion Week. And so I thought, okay, well that's cool. That's a fun interview to do. And to this day, it was one of the most fascinating interviews I ever did with somebody. Joseph Shapira he's really a larger than life personality. So he was a lot of fun to interview. But I was moved by his motivation, which was that the next generation of young people, because if you've noticed, the young people, they don't talk to each other anymore in the way that we grew up talking to each other. Now they only communicate on their phone and online. And so that's how I really think the next generation, unless you have parents that are or friends that are introducing you to potential partners, people
No
in
texting, only texting.
is texting. Everyone's on an app. So I thought, all right. So he wanted the next generation of people to be able to find one another. And I thought, well, that's something that I can get behind. So I said, look, I am leaving the country permanently in 90 days from now. But I like what you're doing. So instead of writing one article that is just a blurb that maybe people will read or won't, instead, since I'm leaving the country permanently in 90 days, I'm going to give you 90 days of coverage. So I'm either going to leave the country and start my new business, or I'm going to find my second husband. One of the two things is going to happen. And I'm going to call it 90 Days to Husband Number Two because I have nothing to lose. So that's exactly what happened. So I wrote a series of articles for Diva Gals Daily and for the Times Square Chronicles called 90 Days to Husband Number Two. And just when I was about to give up, I thought, really, I can't take this anymore. I really don't have the time. It's too frustrating. I've gone on too many bad dates. I really don't have time for any more of this nonsense. And I thought, oh, I already told my readers that they needed to have a sense of humor and persistence. So I thought, okay, I have to keep my journalistic integrity and keep writing until the end of 90 days, and I will just give it one more swipe. So, last swipe, I saw a photo of a gentleman who to me had a face that looked intelligent and fun. And I thought, I don't know who this guy is, but this is a grown up, first of all. And this is somebody with such an intelligent looking face. I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's for me, but I would like to know this person. So I did something that I never ever did in my life. And I made the first move and I clicked the like button. So he replied to me and we started talking. And then we went out on 6 dates. And then I left the country. And that's a true story. And then he sent me a ticket back to New York um, from Colombia for the holidays. And the holidays turned into 3 months. And one day he said, I would like to make a life with you. And can I start by building you a kitchen? My husband is an architect. My reply was, well, hold on a second. Um, how am I supposed to take that? When I decide to cook for you, know that it's a gift to expect. But yes, I would appreciate a better kitchen. But while we're at it, come with me. Let me show you what I'd like to do. Can we take down this wall? Can we do this? Can we do that? And my husband, who's an architect, was really fascinated by my appreciation of interior design. I grew up with a mother who is a very well known industrial graphic designer with an architectural background. So it was part of my education through osmosis, right? Growing up in my mother's design studio. So um, from there, that that holiday winter vacation that turned into 3 months, he said, look, I'd like to make a life with you. I said, well, great. If you want to make a life with me, then I have to go back to Colombia to get my things, what's left of my things, and you have to speak to my mother and meet the rest of my family, and we'll see. And that's exactly what happened. And the whole thing was so wild. It was such an unexpected romantic adventure. It was so sometimes reality is more extraordinary than fiction. And I felt that this was one of those cases. So I took the 3 months of articles that I had written called 90 Days to Husband Number Two and decided to write it as a book in 2020. Um, when the pandemic started, I'd been taking notes for about a year wanting to write this book, but the pandemic gave me time to do it. So that's what I did.
Yes. And the book is translated into Spanish or not yet?
I have translated into Spanish. It is
Yes,
translated, but it is not yet available
not
in
yet.
Spanish.
Because my wife is Colombian. She would love to read it.
Oh my gosh, I would be so honored if your wife wants to read my book. I hope she never needs my book, but I hope it makes her laugh.
No,
Um,
no. But already I'm husband number two for her.
well, I hope she never wants number three.
Yes.
But I hope that this book made her laugh. Um, and I put in the margins little comments in red. Those
Yes.
were comments from my mother.
Great, great.
So I
Yeah.
thought that it would be
Mm.
funny to keep my mother's comments in the book. So
Yes.
that's what I did.
Yes.
And I published it just like that. But the Spanish version
Mhm.
will be out, I hope, in time for the new year,
Ah, para el nuevo año.
para el nuevo
Ah,
año.
yeah. Excelente. But I want to ask you a very related question to your book, like a tip or advice. How either marriage or relationship, how can a couple can avoid comparing their new partner to their ex-partner?
Ah, I love that question. Sharif,
Hmm.
that's a beautiful question, and an
Hmm.
interesting question.
Yes.
So a lot of people compare the first husband to the last husband, this partner to that partner, this girlfriend to that girlfriend. But I feel like every time we go into a new relationship, we have to wipe the slate clean, that each human being is a unique individual in the same way that unless you have an identical twin, all the people on the planet look different, right? Our fingerprints are unique to us. So each human is a completely different human than the humans that surround them. So we have to go into a relationship with this idea that this is a brand new human being to us, and we need to appreciate them for who they are. However, having said that, I also think that we need to learn from our experiences. And, when we date as a teenager or when we're younger in our 20s, 30s, when things don't work out, you need to write down what didn't work out so that before you start a new relationship, you have to become very clear with yourself about what you want and what you don't want, and write those things down. What would you like your life to be like? What are your values? What is the kind of person that you are looking for? And write that person down, your ideal human. Write them out on a piece of paper, even if it's just for you, even if you think that that person does not exist in the world. By the act of writing it on paper, you're sort of declaring it to the universe and causing a law of attraction to come into being. So now you're really clear about what you like and what you don't like, and you will start seeking out people that are more in tune with what you want from your life in a partner rather than more of what you don't want in a partner.
Samantha, do you have certain dreams or goals you would like to achieve in the next year or in the future?
Absolutely. So, my goal for this year is to book as much work as I can um, as an actress, and also to move my podcast that I do with my husband. We have a little web series and podcast called Love and Design Project. It is a renovation show dedicated to apartment living, because there's lots of shows that are about home renovations for people that have houses. But in large cities around the world, the majority of the population lives in apartments now. So as cities get bigger and we start growing, vertically, so it's very easy to renovate a house because you can go out, you can go up, you can add a new wing, you can add a shed, you can do lots of things. But when you live in an apartment, the challenge is the three-dimensional puzzle that happens inside the box of your apartment. And so we decided to do a renovation show for city dwellers, and I would like to take that to a network this year. So that those are my two goals professionally for this year, and along with my book tour for the new edition of my book, which will be out shortly, maybe even by next week. And the Spanish version, I hope to have it out for January. And so those are my short-term goals. My long-term goals, I want an Oscar. I just keep studying with my coaches, keep taking classes, keep learning, always keep learning, keep your skills sharp, learning new skills. And so my ultimate goal as an actress is to win an Oscar as a character.
Of course, I think the Oscar is very easy, but the script, to find a very good script is very difficult nowadays.
Yes.
Eh,
Yes.
yes.
Why do you
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that is?
I think because most of the films I've seen right now are remakes of old films. Today, while I'm checking the news and everything, I've seen they making, a remake of Shogun, and Shogun, I've seen it originally when I was a child,
Mhm.
they did a short version in cinema, and the television series was very popular around the world. So I don't know why they remake it, and it used to have a very, very good actor, if you remember him, Richard Chamberlain,
Yes,
who
yes,
did the Thornbirds as well, and he did the original Born Identity as a mini series with Jacqueline Smith, you know.
yes.
So I don't know why they are remaking, stuff we love, but I think on the independent side, I think a lot of creativity are coming up as well. not most of the time from big studios.
Right, from small independent places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Create.
yeah,
Sure,
yes.
because the big studios, you got to think of them like a chain restaurant, like a big restaurant.
Mhm,
They want to serve you French fries,
mhm,
the greatest hits, the things that they know are going to sell.
mhm,
And
mhm,
and I think that to your point is part and parcel of why we are seeing remakes of things that we loved,
mhm,
remade, and it's sort of cookie cutter. It's not as interesting because it's been done before. So to
mhm,
redo something that's already been done, you have to
mhm,
do it exceptionally well or it's disappointing. I feel
mhm,
like the independent creators in the industry, the writers, the directors, the producers that are willing to take a chance on a good script, I think those are the most interesting projects because they're new and fresh and they have the freedom through their independence to take risks.
of course. Samantha, I want to thank you very much for coming to the live this morning.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best for your upcoming books and the Spanish version of your book, and also your studies and your scouting for a very good script, to ensure your Oscar, and please invite us to the ceremony as well. We
I will.
we can, okay. And best wishes in all your practice, and say hi to your husband. I wish you all the best with him.
Oh,
And I will watch your shows as well, because it's very important to see renovation for apartments, for big cities like New York and Cairo and Barcelona. I think this is a very nice initiative, for you to support people, living in big cities.
thank you so much, Sharif, for having me on your beautiful program.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Take care. Thank you
Thank
very much.
you. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.